Dr. Salvacion. Sino sa DOST ang magjo-join sa atin ngayon?
Sir, si Dr. Paringit po.
Wala nang iba?
Si Dr. Paringit and then yung isang staff member ni Russell Pili, si Mr. Apigo.
Hi. Gentle reminder,
Si
our
Russell,
guest can hear us now.
Si
Dr.
Russell, ano?
Salvacion, Dr. Jace, Mr. Jace. Gentle
Sandali
reminder,
lang, sir.
our guest can hear us now.
Okay. Si Russell po sa sa Peace Shield. RITTD. Just a moment. I look
Joining
it up.
us?
Hindi po siya papasok.
Okay. So si Dr. Paringit lang ang kwan.
Yes sir.
With us.
Opo sir.
Okay. I'm giving my remarks live. Sino bang in charge dito?
We informed them already sir.
Nag-submit kasi ako noon, baka may pipita. I want to be live kasi nandito siya.
Yes sir, opo.
Si Miss Maclang is with us.
Yes sir.
Pilipinas, bringing together the world's industry leaders in a multi-month movement of innovation and nation building to solve the country's age-old problems with technology. Technology can be our nation's strength and advantage as we showcase Filipino tech expertise to make a lasting impact on the country, influence change, and foster inclusion through technology and innovation across local and global spheres. To do this, Digital Pilipinas champions a 12-point agenda that provides solutions while leveraging on ICT-driven opportunities. FinTech, GovTech, and RegTech. PropTech. Digital transformation. Overseas Filipino banking. Future of mobility. InsurTech. E-commerce. Cybersecurity. Internet of Energy, Future of Education, Digital Cities, Gaming. The 12-point agenda will be our guiding star as we trade with trust, encourage cross-border collaborations, e-commerce, open finance, and work hand-in-hand with national and global tech leaders. Digital Pilipinas is a legacy in the making. In 2019, Amor Maclang, FinTech Philippines Executive Director, and Geyser Maclang Marketing Communications Incorporated co-founder, led the Philippine delegation in the Singapore FinTech Festival. In 2020, the country joined the ranks of emerging leaders in the largest event for global tech innovators, the World FinTech Festival. Now, Ms. Maclang, the appointed convener of the World FinTech Festival Philippines, is taking it a step further by gathering the brightest minds to establish the roadmap of the country's technological future with Digital Pilipinas. In the coming months, we will create the Digital Pilipinas Blueprint. It is a whole-of-nation, whole-of-society, whole-of-business approach with national leaders, foreign partners, and the private sector. Filipinos are at the heart of the ASEAN digital revolution, with Asia as the sandbox of innovations. With Digital Pilipinas, our nation will collectively break barriers, tech up industries, and go beyond what seemed to be impossible before. Watch out for our different events and programs in the following months featuring Business Without Borders, Real Estate and PropTech, EduTech, InsurTech and HealthTech, Environment and Sustainability, Diversity and Inclusion, Esports and Gaming, cyber defense, and cybersecurity. Get ready to join our biggest initiatives during the Global Impact FinTech ASEAN Conference, the Risky Business Series, the World FinTech Festival Reduxes, the Singapore FinTech Festival, the Next Generation Leaders Conference, culminating in the launch of the World FinTech Festival Philippines in November. Join the movement and be part of the country's digital revolution. Contact us by email and through our Facebook pages to learn more and be part of the Whole of Nation, Whole of Society platform for global and local prosperity. Digital Pilipinas is supported by the following partners and prime movers in innovation and nation building from the government and private sectors. Join the movement today. Mabuhay tayong lahat. Mabuhay ang Digital Pilipinas.
LOCAD offers you an end-to-end solution to automate e-commerce fulfillment from warehousing, picking and packing, all the way to shipping. And we do it in just 3 easy steps. First, integrate your e-commerce stores into the LOCAD Control Tower. Next, store your inventory in any of our warehouses and fulfillment centers in the country and across Asia Pacific. And finally, sit back and relax as LOCAD automatically picks, packs, and ships out orders from the nearest fulfillment center to your customers. Through the LOCAD Control Tower, you can see the entire fulfillment journey in real time, track orders, monitor inventory levels, and so much more. Be one of the many successful brands who trust LOCAD to fulfill and grow their e-commerce business. Take your business to the next level and make it a fulfilling experience with LOCAD.
Mapuans build great things. The first 16-bit microchip and Windows graphics accelerator built by a Mapuan, Dato Panataw. Windows turned into environment-friendly solar panels. A leading local business enterprise built by Alfonso Supetran. A system that studies earthquakes. A nano satellite that gathers data from outer space. Award-winning Filipino films watched around the world. What if we told you you could build any of these things? Or all of them? Let's get to building. Be a Mapuan and build something great.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are all doing well and good. It's nice to see you all spending your afternoon with us. To join and be part of this wonderful initiative in innovating and enhancing education through digitization. Welcome to the virtual launch of the DOST Mapua Think and Thinker Laboratory Technology Business Incubator in partnership with Digital Pilipinas. To officially start our event, we will say a short invocation followed by the national anthem and the hymn of the Mapua University.
Ang nabuhay sa kalibutan, manama mawantog ka, warag po ko ilingkoy ko. O Diyos, kahibulungan ka, busa ikaw lang ang simbahon ko.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فقال ربكم ادعوني أستجب لكم آمين يا رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين اللهم اجمع شمل المسلمين والكريستيان والأمة في مدينة دباو وسلم دائما مجتمعنا هذا بالسلم والأمن والتقدم في بلدنا هذا آمين يا رب العالمين ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله على خير خلقه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين يا رب العالمين.
In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you today to praise and worship you and give you thanks for all the things you continue to provide for ourselves and our families. Father, we humbly ask for forgiveness for all the times we have offended you, when we forget to acknowledge your presence in the image of our brothers and sisters, and for moments we fail to be good stewards of the blessings you have given us. Continue to guide and protect each one of us, Lord, that we may always walk in the light of your everlasting love and mercy. Grant us, Father, with your comfort in times of distress and with your strength in times of weakness. Bestow upon us your unending grace and healing, that we may in turn become instruments of gentleness and compassion to others. We ask all this in the name of your Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, with the prayer and the intercession of our Blessed Mother. Amen.
Manama mawantog ka, warag po ko ilingkoy ko. O Diyos,
A pleasant afternoon again, everyone. And to discuss all of these initiatives and these synergies, may I have the privilege to call the Dean of Graduate School and Project Leader of the Technology Business Incubator, Dr. Jonathan Salvacion.
Thank you very much, Jace. As your instruction, I just would like to mention that this project that we are now initiating with this event actually began a year before the pandemic. And because of things that are not within our control, it took us another 2 years to bring it into fruition. But now we are here about to launch the Mapua Technology Business Incubator. And I am also taking this point to introduce our president, Dr. Reynaldo B. Vea. Dr. Vea is really a man of many accomplishments, and the time allotted here to me is definitely not enough to recite all of those. However, in the context of today's launch of the Mapua TBI, I would like to present Dr. Vea as the man behind the pioneering and innovative vision that transformed and continues to transform Mapua University. I will mention one innovation of Dr. Vea, which is one of his greatest accomplishments as president of the University of Mapua. He ushered in our digital programs, our online programs, and years before the pandemic, Dr. Vea already foresaw the coming of this new form of delivering education. So years before we even realized now the importance of online instructions, we gave instructions to develop it first in the graduate school, but it was not until about 3 to 4 years before the pandemic that it was actually offered in the graduate programs. And when the pandemic impacted education, Mapua University, in my belief, was the most prepared university in the Philippines to offer online classes. To date, we continue to improve these programs as part of long-term objectives called the IDP, or Institutional Development Plans. In another area, the innovation introduced by Dr. Bea was the transformation of Mapua from an instruction university to a research university. As early as 2009, he was already looking at intellectual property being embedded into the curricula of all the engineering programs. It was followed shortly by the enactment of our intellectual property policy, which has served as almost unamended until last year when we saw that it needed changes. Then in 2011, the Innovation and Technology Support Office of Mapua was established, and we became among the first university members of the network of ITSOs that was established by the Intellectual Property Office of the Philippines. And in 2014, we established also our licensing office called the Knowledge and Technology Transfer Office. Today, the launching of our TBI is the last logical step in our quest to make innovation a part of the outcome-based education that Mapua offers to Philippines. And without much further ado, I'm going to now give the floor to the president of Mapua University, Dr. Reynaldo B. Bea.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jonathan Salvacion, for those very kind words. Actually, in the 97 years of Mapua, 7.5 decades were spent continuously improving the quality of instruction, and to the point where Mapua became the dominant force in engineering licensure examinations because of the rigor of academic life in the school. The next 2 decades added to the thread of quality instruction in Mapua. We got international accreditation. We championed outcomes-based education, and we internationalized our programs, sending students abroad for on-the-job training and in exchange programs with other schools. But in terms of adding dimension to Mapua University, it is in the area of research where we've added another dimension to the school. So it's a major thread in the history of Mapua. And for that, we also have to acknowledge the role of Dr. Salvacion in heading the graduate program, which is, of course, the backbone of research in the school, of architecting the intellectual property policies and environment in Mapua, and in driving to get a partnership with DOST to have this technology business incubator that we are launching today. So I just said to that is extemporaneous in reaction to what Dr. Salvacion said. So he has had a big role in the run-up to the event this afternoon. So to PSEARD Executive Director Dr. Enrico Paringit, co-founder of Geisler Maclang, Ms. Amor Maclang, Mr. Marco Yuchenko Santos of Mapua University and Digital Pilipinas Academy, our partners and mentors, our Mapua students, faculty members, and officers, good afternoon. I would like to thank the DOST PSHIRD for its support to Mapua in the establishment of this technology business incubator, which we have dubbed Think and Tinker Laboratory. With this, we hope to be able to contribute more significantly to the country's efforts at ramping up technology commercialization. Aside from the equipment and facilities in our Yuchenko Innovation Center and in our other laboratories, we will strive to mobilize Mapua's talents, its faculty members, researchers, and graduate and undergraduate students to support the incubation activities. We hope that eventually our batting average in spawning companies will be respectable. So you see, we're mobilizing not only our talents in the field, in the technological fields, but in the business field as well. As you know, there is synergy between RDI, or Research, Development, and Innovation, and instructions. We believe that Think and Tinker will enrich and update our teaching and learning by bringing new knowledge directly to the classroom and by exposing our students, undergraduates included, to experiential learning by actually doing research. On the flip side, we shall be motivated to continuously improve instructions so that it can serve as the academic backbone of research. We eagerly look forward to partner with entrepreneurs upon whom depends the dynamism of our economy. We hope that a number of our own faculty members will be entrepreneurial as well and be supported via Think and Tinker. Together, we can all try to make a difference and bring the level of Philippine competitiveness a few notches higher. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bea.
Doc Bea, for the heartwarming message to welcome us all. Moving on, let us hear a statement from the Executive Director of the Champion Government Office in supporting these various initiatives in commercializing the research and development, innovation, and eventually the spinning of startups that disrupt different industries. Let us give a warm applause to the Department of Science and Technology Executive Director of the Philippine Council for Industry, Energy, and Emerging Technology, Research and Development, Dr. Enrico Paringit.
Colleagues from the academic institutions, partners from the public and private sector, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. We are delighted to see our partners in government, industry, and academia converge in today's virtual gathering as we continue to provide solutions and opportunities to our technopreneurs. We thank our colleagues from the Mapua University for their unwavering support in coming up with innovations that can help the technologies we generate translate into beneficial products, services, and processes for the Filipino people. Today's launch is a testament to our enduring partnership with the Mapua in coming up with the measures to strengthen our resolve in helping our technopreneurs navigate the new normal. The dynamic world of startup economy remains a challenging frontier in the Philippines, with the pandemic stunting our growth in recent years. With the agility of our startups, we're able to see them pivot and adapt in the next normal, providing new services and products that have never been seen or even thought of before. With Sensorium, we look forward to more startups growing under the care of the Mapua Technology Business Incubation Center. With more startups, we expect brighter ideas to spring from Mapua and disrupt the innovation landscape. We are optimistic that in the coming years, Sensorium will be a springboard of game-changing technologies and services that will cater to the varying needs of the Filipino people. We hope that this partnership will lead us to a common goal of supporting our young innovators to succeed in the startup ecosystem. As a leader and partner in enabling innovations, DOST Assured is always here to support initiatives for the future of entrepreneurship in the country. Maraming salamat at mag-ingat po tayong lahat.
Thank you very much, Doc Eric, for your continued support in expanding the local startup ecosystem efforts. Ladies and gentlemen, to know more about the programs of the Technology Business Incubator in the Philippines nationwide, and to support our growing community of startups, let us welcome the Senior Science Research Specialist of the Department of Science and Technology, Research, Information and Technology Transfer Division, Engineer Edward Apigo. Sir Edward, good afternoon.
Hi, Sir Jace. Good afternoon. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, Edward, we can hear you.
All right. So can I have can I request for an access to the share screen? I think Engineer Daniel De Ases will be sharing my screen. All right, so to Mapua President, Dr. Reynaldo Vea, to our Assured Executive Director, Dr. Enrico Paringit, to the project leader of the Mapua TBI project, Dr. Jonathan Salvacion, of course, to the Mapua TBI manager, Mr. Jacinto Jace Asuncion, to our esteemed guests, partners in the startup and innovation ecosystem, startups, members of the Mapua University community, the media, and to everyone who's joining us in this virtual launch. A pleasant afternoon to everyone. Let me first extend my congratulations to the Mapua University TBI team for this virtual launch. I have personally seen the journey of the Mapua TBI team from the time they applied for the HERIT program of the DOST up to the time when we defended the project to the DOST management. And I must say, the journey has been tough, long. I think it was 4 years in the making, but it was all worth it, and I'm proud to be part of that journey. I'd also like to extend my gratitude for this opportunity to share with everyone the current programs of the DOST or the DOST Startup Development Program. So next slide, please. So this is a snapshot of the current major programs of the DOST for the startups and startup enablers. And the mission is to build an integrated, inclusive, and sustainable startup ecosystem. With the signing of the Innovative Startup Act and its implementing rules and regulations in 2019, the DOST has strengthened its programs for the startup community by establishing new programs. Last year, we have launched 2 new programs that will provide direct funding support to startups and one program for the startup enablers and the regional startup ecosystem on top of our existing programs. So let me briefly discuss with you each of these programs in the succeeding slides. So next slide, please. So last January 2021, we opened our first call for proposals for the Startup Grant Fund Program for innovative startups as a response to the demand for quick and rapid solutions adapting to the new normal. Specifically, this program aims to provide support to startups for them to overcome their R&D roadblocks by means of prototype improvement, conduct feasibility studies, development of product specifications, as well as validate user requirements to strengthen their intellectual property by means of protection and development of appropriate strategies. It also aims to help startups establish initial market traction and also to refine their business model and prepare business continuity plan. Next slide, please. So after 2 cycles last year, we're happy to report and to share that everyone that we received a total of 92 proposals from startups, of which 82 are industry, energy, and emerging technology related, and 11 were health-related innovations. However, only 25 startups have passed all the evaluation levels and approved for funding with a total approved budget of 84.9 million. Currently, we're now open. The Startup Grant Fund Program is now open to accept startup applicants for our 2022 cycle. And the deadline for the submission of application is on February 18, 2022. So to everyone, or to all the startups who are listening and watching us this morning or this afternoon, hope you submit. And if you have queries, just message me via chat, and I can send you some details via email. Next slide, please. Also, last June 2021, we launched a new program that is specifically for women. The program is called Women Helping Women, Innovating Social Enterprise Program, which aims to help women social entrepreneurs who want to access technology. So this WH-WISE program has two components. One is a customized incubation program and the provision of funding support for women-led social enterprises. So the mission of this program is to assist 10 women-led entrepreneurs yearly, those who are in need of assistance in acquiring technology, R&D, technical assistance, and even mentoring for them to create impact and benefit to more communities. So next slide, please. So for our first call last year, the WH-WISE program received a total of 30 proposals from women-led social enterprises and startups, and we're happy to share that 9 social enterprises were approved for funding for a total funding of 30 million. This year, we will be opening again our call for the Women Helping Women. So stand by for the announcement. Hopefully, we'll be opening our call sometime in April or May this year. So next slide, please. So I would also like to highlight that even before the Innovative Startup Act was signed into law, we have already established facilities that will support startups in their product development and commercialization. So in partnership with the higher education institutions and state universities and colleges, we have provided them funding to set up their technology business incubators and their initial operations, establish incubation programs, and create services for young entrepreneurs. The startups are able to access their office and co-working spaces, mentoring and training programs, among others. So next slide, please. So the DOST, Technology Business Incubator Network, is now a 48-member strong group with, of course, the latest edition of the Mapua Technology Business Incubator. So we officially welcome the Mapua TBI to this 48-strong network group, which is composed of 32 industry-based technology business incubators and 16 agriculture and aquaculture-focused TBIs, which are located in different HEIs and SUCs across the country. So we have at least one technology business incubator per region, and our goal for the next 3 years is to have one technology business incubator in major. So next slide, please. So over the years, the TBI have collectively incubated and supported 851 startups, and 200 or 28% of them have become full-blown companies. So this is actually our challenge for the TBI, or to the Mapua TBI team. This is what we call our impact metrics. So this is how we measure the success of our technology business incubators all over the years. Collectively, our startups have been able to create 4,000 jobs. They're also able to raise 1.2 billion in public and private investments, and have generated 622 worth of private investment. Additionally, the TBIs themselves have also received a total of 370 million in private investments from various partners. So if you look at these numbers, our investment for the TBI since 2018, which amounts to a total of 244 million, we are glad that our startups have attracted people and organizations to invest in them, as manifested in the investment and revenues we have raised and generated for the past years. And if you look at the numbers, the returns are higher than our investments, and we're so happy with that. So next slide, please. So recognizing the impact of the TBIs to the startup community, we see the need to establish more technology business incubator, but building a TBI also requires a lot of preparation. So through the Higher Education Institution Readiness for Innovation and Technopreneurship Program, or what we call the HERIT program, the same program that the Mapua University has been part of in 2018, we will provide universities with a structured preparatory program to guide and equip them to plan, implement, build, and start embracing the emerging startup community in their own university. So currently, we already have opened our applications for the new university who wants to establish technology business incubator. So if you are a university and if you wish or if you plan to establish a technology business incubator just like the Mapua University TBI, the call for application is open until February 14, 2022. So that's the Hear It program. So next slide po. Also last year, we have opened our call for proposals for the Regional Startup Enabler for Ecosystem Development Program, or RESEED program, which aims to support or to strengthen the startup ecosystem in the regions by providing support to DOST-funded technology business incubators to establish and formalize a regional startup ecosystem. The DOST acknowledges the need for other cities and regions in the Philippines to catch up and produce startups that are fundable by investors and the government. While our TBIs are doing great in supporting startups, we believe that by partnering with other startup enablers in the region, they can do more by establishing a consortium, establishing a regional startup development plan, engaging with more mentors to upskill startups, and partnering with the respective regional development council. So next slide po. And I'm also happy to share that DOST has approved 9 regional startup consortium under the Hear It RESEED program with a total funding of 13.5 million. We believe that enabling our TBIs to establish synergies with other startup ecosystems will boost the regional startup ecosystem and will contribute to the overall improvement of the country's ranking in the Global Startup Ecosystem Index. To complement this, we will double our efforts in enabling an investor-friendly environment so we can attract and bring more investors in the regions and see more startups coming from our regional TBIs getting investments. So next slide, please. Again, let me extend my huge congratulations to Mapua University TBI and the entire Mapua University community. We thank you for accepting the challenge to become one of the trailblazers in our efforts to have a stronger and more robust startup ecosystem. As they say, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, in this case, it takes an ecosystem to raise a startup. We're looking forward to a successful implementation of the Mapua University TBI. Maraming salamat at mabuhay po tayong lahat. Sir Jace.
Maraming salamat, Sir Edward, sa inyong suporta at patuloy na pagtangkilik sa hindi lamang sa Mapua but also to help our startups and our other innovation partners. Thank you very much, Department of Science and Technology, and to the whole team of Ms. Russell. And of course, all of these initiatives from the academe and government are impossible to succeed without the strong support and collaboration of the third partner, which is the industry leaders. To talk more about this partnership, it is my great honor to introduce one of the most dynamic, enthusiastic, and tireless women in pursuit of digitizing the Philippines to make it at par with our ASEAN neighbors and the rest of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome the co-founder of Digital Pilipinas, Ms. Amor Maclang. Ms. Amor, take it away.
Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Assalamualaikum warahmatullah to all those watching in our live streams all over the Philippines. At this point, I'd be very remiss if I don't acknowledge the presence of our dear friends and partners from Mapua University and DOST PSERT, Dr. Ray Vea, Dr. Enrico Parinit, the Executive Director of PSERT, Dean John Salvacion, the Dean of the Graduate Studies of Mapua, Dr. Edward Apigo of the DOST, and a very special shout out to my partner in digital education, Mr. Marco Santos, for helping make this happen. Jace, I wouldn't be here if not for your tireless reach out. Maraming salamat po. Double special shout out to all the market leaders and the co-conveners of Digital Pilipinas from all over Asia Pacific who have all agreed to give their time and expertise for free. This 2022, our country is at a very important crossroad, not just for education, but in general. You know, 2 of the largest economies on earth are teetering with inflation and collapsing property bubbles that could very well make 2008 look minor in comparison. In the Philippines, we face a national elections that's so polarizing that 40% of the population wants to leave the country regardless of who is elected. And just very recently, even our largest financial institutions have been vulnerable to hacking while simultaneously being called to task in terms of accountability. And in the very near future, the two preferred addresses will either be Mars or the metaverse. Now more than ever, we need to put forth a compelling technology and innovation agenda for the country. And this is why we gave birth, together with many of our co-conveners who are here today, the movement that is Digital Pilipinas. And this is intended to catapult us into a brighter future by fostering not a killer app, but rather a killer ecosystem for technology and innovation for the Philippines. Last year was a breakthrough year for us in Digital Pilipinas. Thank you so much to all of you, especially to our co-conveners, from identifying the main pain points of the country that could be addressed by technology, to building entire networks and partnerships, all tied to UN SDG 17, Partnership for the Goals. We together have grown this movement exponentially. We've certainly come a long way from the time we launched Digital Pilipinas in Singapore in November of 2019, the last time we were all together in the Singapore FinTech Festival. And just to share with you, in December of 2021, during the National Exporters Week, we launched the Business Without Borders program with the DTI via the PTTC. And our objective here is to actually help propel MSMEs into a regional and a global runway. In a span of 6 months last year, we hosted 48 coming togethers from all over Asia Pacific, participated by 192 thought leaders from across Asia and the Pacific, many of whom are here today. We were read in 30 countries across 619 articles, both local and foreign publications, with our website posting close to 7.5 million clicks and impressions. Now, education is another very important work stream for us in 2022. Last November, during Entrepreneurs Month, under the Oxygen platform of the Monetary Authority of Singapore, we partnered with the National University of Singapore and the portable identity arm of Temasek, Affinity, that would now put your academic credentials immutably on the blockchain. We sent close to 300 scholars from the Department of Finance, Department of Trade and Industry, the DICT, and of course, Mapua, to learn more about the Web 3.0 program. Super special shout out to Mr. Todd Schweitzer of Brancas for supporting our first run of scholars last year. This year, many of the resources that are allocated by our co-conveners would go into supporting many more scholars learning asynchronously from all over the Philippines. Now, as opposed to other education programs, and this is something that we're very excited to pioneer with Dr. Salvacion, Dr. Vea, and Jace of Mapua, we are looking into creating micro-certification courses for the Digital Pilipinas Academy. Now, Mapua is not just a premier university in STEM, but I would like to make note of the fact that together with the Erasmus program of the European Union, Mapua actually pioneered FinTech education in the country. Special shout out to Mr. Jove Tapiador, our education champion and co-founder, and Attorney Mark Goreseta, our fellow trustee in FinTech Philippines Association, the largest trade industry for FinTech in the country, where I serve as trustee and executive director. On Feb 24, we are also in talks separately with DOST PSERD in launching a nascent technology summit together with many of you and many of the players in the region. Together, we will totally geek out on Web 3.0, decentralized technologies, new asset classes, big data, and AI. Of course, this would not be made possible without our co-conveners and also our fellow advisors and mentors who are all here today. What a fitting way to start the year. I truly cannot believe that month 1 of 12 is almost over. And this is really just the start of an amazing collaboration towards digitizing the country. Thank you so much for believing that a digital Pilipinas can happen in our lifetime. And the launch today of the Digital Pilipinas Academy with DOST PSERD and Mapua TBI is merely the start of our work together to tech up our country through education. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat at mabuhay po ang Digital Pilipinas.
Thank you very much, Ms. Amor, for that very insightful and passionate message. Thank you very much, Digital Pilipinas, for your support to this endeavor. And we are very excited that the Technology Business Incubator of Mapua can achieve much with the partnership with you and, of course, with the support of the Department of Science and Technology. Before I begin my portion, I would like to request for all our speakers to turn on your videos so we can document with a photo. Thank you very much.
Okay, everyone, taking a picture. 3, 2, 1, go. Another one. 3, 2, 1, go. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our speakers. Moving forward, please allow me to talk more about our technology business incubators. Please share our slides, please. There you go. Thank you so much. So to talk about our technology business incubator in the Mapua University, please click the button. So this is the partnership of Mapua University and the Department of Science and Technology to coin the Think and Thinker Laboratory, which has been personally coined by our President, Dr. Vea, the name of the Technology Business Incubator, Think and Thinker. And today, as we launch, it is a partnership with, of course, the academe and government, and of course, with the strong support of Digital Pilipinas and FinTech Philippines Association to launch the Think and Thinker Laboratory. The Think and Thinker Laboratory is all about, next slide, please. First, our focus is on corporate innovation through techno-entrepreneurship in a fast progressing ecosystem. By embracing opportunities through industry challenges and academic R&D and government support to generate disruptive solutions in the industry that will generate industry-led job opportunities and technological breakthrough and robust economy at par with our ASEAN and global markets. Next slide, please. Our objectives in the Technology Business Incubator are as follows. One, the Technology Business Incubator will generate sustainable and investable startups that will help and boost the economy of the Philippines. Second, this Technology Business Incubator will be assisted and helped by top caliber network of support or mentors that hone future entrepreneurs not only for the Philippines but also for the Southeast Asian market. Third, to establish partnership with private companies that are in high-grown verticals and startup focus in government institutions. And fourthly, the Technology Business Incubator would be assistive to the venture incubation that will complement to the IP management practices in the university to maximize the value of technology and innovation generated by the academe. The Technology Business Incubator of Mapua, which is the Think and Thinker Laboratory, will be focusing on fintech that will fairly cover education technology, health technology, and even agri-tech. And also the other technologies that has been mentioned by our partner, which is Digital Pilipinas and Fintech Philippines. And to support all of these initiatives, next slide, please. The facilities of the whole university will be available for Technology Business Incubator incubatees and venture startups. Next slide, please. This is the Think and Thinker facility that will house the team of the Technology Business Incubator in assisting startups. Next slide, please. And since the focus of our incubator is fintech, then this we would like to showcase our computer facilities and laboratories. Other facilities that can be used by the ventures and the startups are the following, wherein we can use this for our pitching competitions as well as for venture presentations. And of course, the rich laboratory and the libraries of the university supporting in progressing the technology levels of our ventures and researches. And of course, we are very happy to show our new campus in Makati. Of course, all of these are made possible by the leadership of our project leader, Dr. Jonathan Salvacion, and the Dean of Graduate of the ETY School of Business, Dean Concordio Kisaot. I would like to acknowledge also my team members with Miss Dang Hilario, Ma'am Evangeline Balboa, Miss Christine Merce, and Jerry Esplana. All of these initiatives cannot be attained by the TBI alone, but we have requested the support of the different deans of our different colleges in support to the Incubator initiative. These are their expressions of support.
Hi everyone, I'm Benigno B. Agapito Jr., the Dean of the School of Media Studies of Mapua University, fully supportive of the Technology Business Incubator of Mapua University.
Hi, I'm Kelly Balan, Dean of the School of Information Technology, fully supportive of the Technology Business Incubator of Mapua University.
Hi, I'm Dean Alvin Caparanga of the School of CBMS. I fully support the Technology Incubator of Mapua University.
Hi, I'm Mylena Alacapuno of the Mathematics Department, fully supportive of the Technology Business Incubator of Mapua University.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Makayan, Dean of the School of Social Sciences and Education, and I am fully supportive of the Technology Business Incubator of Mapua University.
On behalf of the School of Mechanical and Manufacturing Engineering, we would like to congratulate Dr. Jonathan Salvacion and his team for the successful launch of Mapua's Technology Business Incubator. It's a very timely effort, which aims to mentor and assist our students and our other stakeholders to commercialize their ideas based on research and academics. Expect our full support and cooperation on this initiative. Thank you and congratulations.
Hi, I'm Dean Arnold Paglinawan of the School of EECE, Electrical, Electronics, and Computer Engineering, fully supportive of the Technology Business Incubator of Mapua University.
Good day, everyone, and this is Dean Konkon of the Henrik P. Yuchenko School of Business and Management. I fully commit to support the TBI of Mapua University.
Hi, I'm Dante Sogilio of the Department of Physics, fully supportive of the Technology Business Incubator of Mapua University.
Hi, I am Dantel Silva, the Program Chair for BS in Construction Engineering Management, fully supportive of the Technology Business Incubator of Mapua University.
Hi, I'm Dean Gloria Chidoro of the School of Architecture, Industrial Design, and the Built Environment, fully supportive of the Technology Business Incubator of Mapua University.
Hi, I am Dean Francis Alvin Uy of the School of Civil, Environmental, and Geological Engineering. I am fully supportive of the Technology Business Incubator of Mapua University.
Hi, I'm Bernard Villaverde, the Associate Dean of the School of Civil, Environmental, and Geological Engineering, fully supportive of the Technology Business Incubator of Mapua University.
Hi, I'm Dean Michael Young from the School of Industrial Engineering and Engineering Management, fully supportive of the Technology Business Incubator of Mapua University.
Thank you very much, deans of different colleges, and we can only, of course, achieve so much, but with the support of the deans of the different colleges, we can achieve better. Ladies and gentlemen, this afternoon, we are fortunate to be joined by thought leaders from various fields of interest, from e-commerce, supply chain management, connectivity, to the various digital tools to help us chart the future of digital learning. may I have the great pleasure to introduce the Microsoft Digital Infrastructure Education Enterprise, Mr. Abid Zaidi. Sir
Thank you
Abid,
very much.
please.
Thanks very much, Jace. I hope you can hear me well.
Yes, we can hear you very well.
Right. Thank you very much for having me. First of all, congratulations to, on behalf of Microsoft, I would like to on behalf of Microsoft, I'd like to extend congratulations to Digital Pilipinas, DOST, and Mapua University on this momentous occasion and on the launch of this technology business incubator. Just being mindful of time, so I'd like to maybe put across a couple of messages I would want to share with all of you on this forum to kind of share with you where Microsoft is coming from and also how we can contribute to this initiative. So a few things I would like to start off with. First of all, when we look at Microsoft mission, which is to empower every individual and every organization on the planet to achieve more, when we look at the startup ecosystem, our mission would not be complete without Microsoft leaning in to help these startups. And when we also look at startups, we see that it's an industry with its own characteristics. The startup mindset, the innovation, the agility that it brings. It's an industry with its unique needs as well. And it's important for us to understand those. As Microsoft, we have been very strong in the enterprise arena, helping big organizations, large organizations, and even mid-sized organizations achieve their digital transformation missions and goals. Having said that, we did realize as Microsoft at the global level to ensure that we are also understanding the peculiar needs of these startups. And what we know is that we all have to come together as private sector, as technology companies, and other stakeholders which are part of the startup ecosystem, from incubators to accelerators to universities playing their part. And there's something that I continue to kind of share like a broken record with the different.
I think you have been muted.
Sorry, I don't know why that happened. I hope you can hear me now.
It's better.
So with pandemic, we are seeing that the overall change that has been brought about pandemic is supporting the ecosystem. Obviously, the pandemic brought with it a lot of miseries for a lot of people, but at the same time, I'd like to highlight some of the statistics. And some of them are not the latest, but directionally it gives us a sense of where we are going. For example, global broadband traffic increased by 51% in Q4 of 2020, and we continue to see that trend. As far as e-commerce is concerned, it shot up to $27 trillion globally, according to one of the studies by UN. When we look at the online purchases on just food and household, there's 30% growth. When we look at venture funding, it grew from about $148 billion to $288 billion. Now, the reason why I'm sharing this is because this is really the right time for the startups here in the Philippines to think about the possibilities, because the local market and the global market are both supporting what value startups can actually bring to the table. And when we look at one of the studies, which is according to top 100 emerging startup ecosystem, we are able to kind of really see how the startup ecosystem is progressing, where are we lacking, what are the weaknesses, but at the same time also understand and recognize our strengths. For example, funding continues to be one of the challenges, and we are ranking low over there. The performance of our startups is also an area where we need to kind of further look into and probe. as far as surprisingly, by the way, not surprisingly, but I think this is really something that we saw in the BPO space as well, that the talent is there. I think the basic foundation is there. We can always upskill our talent and also bring advanced learning, or advanced skills to the talent that is available. And this is where Philippines is ranking somewhere in between. And this is actually the area where Microsoft has been playing an important role in terms of skilling the overall populace, but at the same time providing advanced skilling to the talent, which is actually needed by the startup ecosystem. And we do have an initiative which is ongoing, where we are partnering with private sector, we are partnering with government to actually provide skilling, content, mentorship at scale. Now, specifically with regard to the startup ecosystem, we started, although globally as Microsoft, we do have, Microsoft Startup as a sub-organization. It's one of the organizations that helps startups with, skilling, but not only skilling, but mentorship across technology areas and business areas. And at the same time, we provide technologies, whether it is for the running of the startup itself, which is like the productivity suite that we offer to large enterprises. We also offer cloud solutions and free credits to the startups as well. But more than that, I think something that is extremely important for us is to understand how we can improve our overall market reach. And the market reach, well, e-commerce is a no-brainer. People are buying online retail. Online retail is going to be big. So, we are already seeing that there are startups that are getting good funding because there is already an established need for online purchasing. But as far as the overall local and global outreach is concerned, there are two areas I would want to highlight when we look across agri-tech, blockchain, advanced manufacturing, robotics, fintechs, AI and big data, cybersecurity, edtech. We need to really understand and come together. Where are we going to be focusing more? Because if we work across all these areas, which ideally we should, having said that, the focus and the prioritization is extremely important because resources continue to be scarce. And what we found out, one of the insights that I want to share with the forum here is that when we look at the global acceptance of startups or the global outreach, AI and big data are showing a lot of promise. And at the same time, advanced manufacturing and robotics. Now we can say that Philippines is predominantly agri-based industry economy. And therefore, agri and spending and investing in agri would make sense. But at the same time, when we look at the universal appeal of the startups, we need to look at AI and big data. Why? Because when we look at the Series A deals and 5-year growth trend, we see one of the highest in AI and big data, and also for manufacturing and robotics and fintechs. But when you look at the exits over a 5-year period and the growth there, we are seeing highest success rate across AI and big data startups. We are seeing that in advanced manufacturing and robotics, and then we are seeing that in blockchain-based startups. And therefore, these are some of the areas where we can, as Microsoft, start to see and work with a forum like this to see how we can play a role in adding these subjects and topics in the existing curriculum. And at the same time, when it comes to the charter of the business technology incubator, try and see how we can take the content that we have and the experience of Microsoft working in blockchain technology area or AI and data. How can we pass on that knowledge to the startups? So one of the messages I want to put across is prioritization is important. And when we look at, what are the areas that have global appeal, these are the two areas where we can lean in and try and see if we have the required talent available to really create those startups that can venture into these areas. I was hearing DOST talk about the government frameworks when it comes to Philippine Innovation Act or Innovative Startup Act or e-commerce, Philippines 2022 roadmap or Philippine Startup Development Plan. I think the government is leaning in the right direction, and all these acts are going to be helping startups in the long run, and also in the short and medium term, because that without that framework, with private sector coming in and technology giants like Microsoft coming in, it would not be a complete equation. So it is heartening to see that the government is playing a very critical and important role in bringing the right framework to fuel these startups and provide them with a conducive environment. Lastly, I would want to also share this, that when we look at cloud technology, these are like innovation hubs. So timing is of great importance, but also in terms of how these startups are bringing innovation into their products is extremely important, because at the end of the day, we are competing at the world stage. And therefore, starting from scratch is going to take more time for these startups to achieve that MVP, and then eventually that product, that would be needed by different markets or industries. So the other message that I want to put across is that make use of the innovation hubs, which are now in the shape of cloud infrastructure. And we are again seeing that here in the Philippines, the adoption of cloud is high. Why? Because the government has been supporting this. Obviously, we can always evolve those frameworks and evolve those policies to ensure that the adoption is faster. And as Microsoft, because we do have the cloud infrastructure, we have been working on improving the skills across cloud technologies, and at the same time, we have been providing cloud technologies to startups in the shape of credits and all. But more than that, it's important for us to get down to a level where we are able to have discussion with startups on how what their product journey looks like, and instead of kind of passing on just the credits, work with them on the overall architecture of the platform, because that would eventually become the real asset for these startups. So with this, I would want to extend all our support from Microsoft side to ensure that we are working across skilling, we are working across sharing with you our experience of working in other markets where the startups are growing at a faster pace. And lastly, provide with the right technology to these startups so that they can have a quick jump start and they're able to really move quickly in terms of finalizing their product. And then we start on the GTM activities, which is again, is very important. And this again is an area where Microsoft can play its role, because we already have relationship in the enterprise area. So holding startups' hands and then taking them to the market and giving them market access is another area which is extremely important. And we do forge partnership with startups in terms of putting together, a GTM, a joint GTM, and then obviously, bringing the credibility to the whole offer that the startup is, startups are working on in terms of providing a different solution to the enterprise and large organizations. So with this, thank you very much for having me, and I look forward to working closely with Digital Pilipinas and DOST and Mapua University. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abid Zaidi. And we're looking forward in collaborating and working with you, and to support all our startups, and not only the startups from Mapua, but also other startups in the Philippines through Digital Pilipinas. Thank you very much. And allow me to welcome and introduce our advisory board. May I request and call the following, our mentors on stage. May I have the pleasure to introduce the lead for the EduTech Technology Governance and Sustainability of Globe, Ms. Yoli Crisanto. Welcome. Good afternoon, Ma'am Yoli. And the APICS API Economy Web 3.0, Mr. Peter Franks. And of course, the legal tech education from Gorseta Law, Attorney Mark Gorseta. Kim Store Practical E-Commerce, Miss Kim Lato. Education Technology from iPeople, Mr. Vic Rafael. E-commerce and digitization of the supply chain, Mr. Cons Roberts. Philippine Coding Camp Education Technology, Mr. Gino San Pedro. And of course, from our very own Mapua University Education and Technology Inclusion Advocate, Mr. Marco Santos. Brancas Open Finance, Mr. Tad Schweitzer. And again, welcoming back Miss Amor Maclang, the convener of Digital Pilipinas and World FinTech Festival Philippines, the Executive Director and Trustee of FinTech Philippines Association, and co-founder of Geyser Maclang Marketing Communications. To all our mentors, may I request, please do turn on your videos before we start. I would like to request you to smile as we document with a photo.
Hello, everyone. Please smile to the camera. In 3, 2, 1, go. Batch 2. 3, 2, 1, go. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. So to start our panel discussion, let me shoot the first question for Miss Amor. Miss Amor, please, given the current pain points in the edutech, what initiatives or actions can we do to address these challenges, particularly on the issue of lost learning opportunities from the blended learning in the past 2 years?
Just very quickly, I shared with you how COVID really hurt and devastated the educational system. I mean, many are opting not to take the traditional programs that we all grew up with. And the future education is going to look very different from what we're used to. What we're doing in Digital Pilipinas, specifically in collaboration with our partners out of Singapore and hoping to pilot it first and foremost with Mapua, is to create practical courses, micro certifications that are much more biteable in size. So anywhere from, we've seen it roll out in the World FinTech Festival last November, anywhere from 30 minutes to as long as an hour that can all ladder up into a certificate. But I think more importantly is the fact that we need to ensure that the credentials that you accrue stay with you. And the best way to be able to do that is to ensure that your credentials stay in a portable wallet, right? So that it never gets lost. The learning stays with you, but then whatever it is that you claim you've learned are actually verifiable and immutable. So that's how we hope to be able to do things differently. And thank you to Mapua for agreeing to pilot this along. And of course, this time around, those who are teaching in the Digital Pilipinas Academy are all market leaders, right? There's this undeserved joke that they say, which is, if you can't, you teach. But this time around, it's different. As you can see, the teachers in our academy are all practitioners and in the trenches. They're neck deep and in the trenches in the various fields of expertise. So thank you.
Agree to that, Ms. Amor. Traceable and traceability, and of course, we can verify the accreditation and the credentials of our graduates, as well as the certifications that we issue. Moving forward to Mr. Peter Franken. How will API power education to the future? What are the uses and benefits of API?
Thank you and welcome everybody. And first of all, congratulations on this wonderful event today, and also congratulations to the incubator. Yes, APIs. How can APIs help us in terms of education? But before we talk about education, I think Amor already started the "if you can't, you teach." It's also about learning, and for me, learning is an open experience. You can only learn if you open up your mind. You can only learn if you collaborate. You can only learn if you share. So it's not, you can't learn in a vacuum. Maybe somebody can philosophize about that, but you can't. So learning starts by connecting. And before we had APIs in the tech world, a lot of things were customized to connect, and that created a lot of friction and difficulty to do things. And API stands for Application Programming Interface. But let's say that APIs are kind of a general language, as Amor calls it. The APIs are the language of love for technology. And what it does is it basically defines boundaries between things that are defined and allow things to start connecting in a quick way. Why is it important for the current generation of young students to know about this? Is that the world is very, very complex. There's no way you can understand all of it, but you will have to know a part of it, and you will have to interact with parts of it. And APIs allow you to define what those parts are and how do you connect with these parts, and allow you to pull in these things. So, API Exchange Apex is something I was able to co-create in Singapore as an initiative for the globe to share APIs that startups create. So there's this whole ecosystem of APIs that now is there that allows us to connect. But it also allows us to learn about things, right? So if you read an API, it's like reading what this technology is about. And learning and understanding the power of APIs will allow us to move much faster. And I think when we were listening to the talk from Microsoft, it was mentioned that there's not enough hands in the world to do all the technology work that is out there. And we need to be smarter about it, right? Smarter and not work harder, right? So we have some social life as well. But the key thing is that APIs allows us to move very fast. So instead of trying to customize something, we say, I'll pick something from here, I send something there, I get a response, and I don't have to understand what's inside that box anymore. And that is a huge advantage. So in the old days, when I was young and when I had to build systems, it would take a lot of time to build a system. Today, you can collapse that time to weeks or months, if not days, by using APIs and by stitching together the network of things. So instead of trying to understand everything, I'm bringing things together to solve my problem. And I think that's the power of APIs. And that's why it is very important that young students and young people in the Philippines learn this power, because not only can you connect what's around you, you can pull in things from around the globe. The boundaries in the API world don't exist. You can have something processed in Singapore or in Tokyo or in Manila or wherever you are. And that creates a very interesting open ecosystem of open APIs. And that is really, I think, where the revolution is going to be in terms of technology, is kind of divide and conquer. I focus on my API, you focus on yours, and collectively we can solve a bigger problem. So I want to leave it with that, and I hope that kind of explains why APIs are so important and why it is important for education at the same time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Peter. Strongly agree with you that the APIs are very, very important so that different technologies can work together. And of course, it goes back again to ecosystem collaboration so that we can move forward faster and better all of these technologies. Thank you very much, Peter. And on another note, let's hear from Mr. Newman Mustafa of coins.ph. Mr. Newman, what is the correlation between cryptonomics and edtech? What is the potential application of cryptonomics to education?
Hi, Jazz. Hi, everyone. Firstly, congratulations to Digital Pilipinas and everyone over here for this fantastic event and this fantastic opportunity. For me, the way we have to think about it is that how blockchain has evolved in the last many years, and now it's becoming like a mainstream situation where everyone has now finally come up and like surely agreed that blockchain is no more about Bitcoin, but it's all about beyond blockchain, and now we're looking into the world of metaverse, Web 3.0, and all of those things. So it is absolutely important that as a student, it is and even for the education sector, it is important that blockchain is included as a part of the course curriculum, understanding about hashes, about cryptography, about consensus, about smart contracts. All of those things should be included as a part of the education environment, rather than the students realizing this information is being required now as and when how they are about to enter the new fintech world. We have seen a lot of new industries being developed out of the blockchain, whether it's going to be a simple payment remittance to the point that now we are seeing almost 2 to 3 million people actually within Philippines who are becoming a active user in play to earn module under XC Infinity, and this is all being backed by the blockchain technology. So for me, it is absolutely important, and it will give a lot of benefit to the future generation within Philippines college and universities, that knowledge of blockchain is included as a part of their curriculum. Secondly, as you mentioned about the blockchain and being a part of the edutech, there have been made a lot of studies recently where how the courses and the verification of a student's certification can be kept on the blockchain network. Thus, by reducing the cost, it improves the verification process that a certain certification has been earned by the student, and it gives the overall benefit of being a part of the blockchain environment. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Mr. Newman, for that answer. Yeah, I'm looking forward that in the future, our students will be paying their tuition fees in cryptocurrencies, and I hope that this will be acceptable to the universities. But before that, of course, the traceability of these certificates issued by the universities will be very useful for both the university and the industry partners. Thank you very much again, Mr. Newman, and thank you for joining us. The next question is more on the legal tech education. This is for Attorney Mark Garceta. Attorney Mark, how do you bring together expertise in the fields of IT and law and provide a platform for new ways to provide legal services, innovative concepts of legal training, and cutting-edge professional advice? Attorney
Hi,
Mark.
Jace. Can you hear me? Yeah. Hi, Jace. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me here. So, yes, to start with, as I'd like to think, as the Philippines, a premier tech law firm, we always have an open and curious mindset about new technologies. So, we regularly work and collaborate with innovative individuals. Most of the year, like Noman, Constantine, I've worked with for the past years, and in organizations, whether in the private and public sector, who always bring fresh ideas and technological methods that often stretch the limits of existing laws and regulations. So that said, we are also challenged actually to question whether existing laws or regulations can sufficiently address these new tech platforms, or if not, whether we can retrofit the technology or business model to what is presently permissible under Philippine laws or regulations. No? So lastly, as part of my job as a tech lawyer, it's to help also our lawmakers and regulators shape and develop, hopefully, the Philippine legal tech framework so that it creates a more opportunities, safeguard existing rights, guaranteed, of course, under our law, and ultimately improve our economic and social conditions. So there's definitely never a dull moment in this practice area, Jace.
Thank you very much, Attorney Mark, for that answer. We truly need someone who understands technology and convert this understanding of the technology in creating policies for the government, and also creating policies that will impact the laws that is being actually applied to the new and disruptive startups and innovators right now. especially when they are already launching and flying in business. Thank you very much, Attorney Mark. And for the Mapua University and iPeople, for Sir Vic Rafael, may I ask, like, how does Mapua promote online learning and adoption of its students?
Jace, I think I'm going to answer that for Mr. Rafael because that is more a question for us educators than the iPeople. Yeah, actually we're actively
sir.
promoting the different forms of deliveries of the program through our website and other forms of advertising. And we're promoting, of course, the blended programs and the fully online programs in the undergrad and the graduate levels. And, you know, we do this by the usual channels of promotion. But I think a much better way of promoting it is just showing the quality of the programs. And we do this very quietly. We improve teacher training. We try as much as possible to improve the technology of delivery. And for example, even in the assessment, not just in instruction, but assessing progress of students. And in this manner, we hope that people will catch on and appreciate the online education programs.
Thank you very much, Doc Jonathan, for that answer. And for Sir Vic, any word on like how can we collaborate with iPeople and with the incubator?
I think he left the call already, so I'll answer it for you.
Yes, sir.
First of all, we have a very close collaboration between Sir Vic Rafael and iPeople in matters involving the support for spin-offs and startups from within Mapua. So one thing they can provide with us is, for instance, advising founders of startups and spin-offs from Mapua. We have the initial meetings where we see the potential problems and they give advice to the founders. Second is in matters such as, for example, putting value to the spin-off or the technology. They already have the expertise on that. In Mapua, we do teach how to value technology, but they have in iPeople the necessary experience about these things. And you know what we do is, okay, we create our theoretical calculations and then they have theirs, and then we meet with the startup company and discuss which could be adapted. So this is one way that they can help us. And of course, because iPeople is situated in the Yuchenko group of companies, they know potential investors from within the YGC group, and this could help this spin-off even more. It's a very valuable. They are a very valuable partner in this sense also. So, for example, when Asher was founded and when they wanted to develop, iPeople was very much involved in arranging meetings with the business leaders within the YGC group of companies to see whether they can invest in this in Asher, our very first spin-off.
And thank you very much, Doc Jonathan, for those answers for iPeople. Moving forward, this one is for e-commerce 101, Miss Kim Lato. What advice or experience can you share with our students who are pursuing education in tech to help them become successful entrepreneurs and challenge the new normal? Ms. Kim?
Hi everyone. Hi Jace. Congratulations to Mapua University for putting innovation a forefront to the education, to innovation, to the youth. Congratulations DOST for the support to our startup communities and to our fellow conveners of Digital Pilipinas for being here as well. So, right off the bat, an educational background in tech is a sure advantage in e-commerce. You'll be more familiar with the infrastructure, hardware, software, the technical things, which are usually one of the first filters. Tech can spare people away, while people who get over that obstacle or who don't come from the same background will be playing catch up in that field. That covers your advantage when you enter e-commerce. However, let's be reminded that new technology is always being developed to make a task easier. You can trust that somewhere down the road, a task that used to be difficult will become doable with one push of a button. So let me share my personal story. I started Kim's store during my college years. I was just a sophomore student back then. Actually, it was also from my fundamental learnings from the university that helped my business online work. But to connect with that how fast technology evolves, just to share, I started a business in multiply.com. Now, Multiply already defuncted. But way back that time, Multiply, the system was not even built for e-commerce. What you would find was basically a photo album, and you just manually put your photos, the details of the subscription that you were selling. But this time around, a lot have changed. Everything is reachable. Now, tools, analytics, platforms, marketplaces are pretty much available. Anyone can open up a store on a marketplace. You can already sell in your social media accounts, only for you to understand that you can already have a business by knowing the tools, the technology that are available in the local scene. And that's where we find the keys to success. It will still be down to, of course, hard work, dedication, and values that you have to develop. So habang bata pa kayo, while you learn in school, how well can you discipline yourself following a schedule? How can you motivate yourself that even if you're starting something from scratch, since this is practical e-commerce 101, everything is possible. But you really need to put that hard work for you to make things happen in business. We're going after success, not just break even, guys, okay? The common strand of CEO is that we need to keep improving, we need to keep learning. Just to share, we just had our 15th year anniversary last year, and I could say it was a wild journey from the time that we started e-commerce way back in 2006. Parang golden era ng e-commerce. There was no tools, no brand book, no guidelines on how we started e-commerce, but look, we are now embracing NFTs, metaverse, Web 3.0, and there's so much innovation to look forward in e-commerce. But more than that, I'm very excited to teach and share my experience on how you could start business online and how you can sustain a business online and how you can scale your business, like, or probably even in the same success or even be more successful like Game Store. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kim. Truly, no, we are able to apply during the pandemic the learn, build, and measure. Since there is no playbook for e-commerce, all we have to do is to like really learn from the things. And even we fail on some things on e-commerce, we get up and learn from it. Thank you very much, Ms. Kim. And for the questions from our media partners, from Sir Edgar Hilario, what are your activities this year to further enhance the objectives of the DOST Mapua Technology Business Incubator or the Think and Tinker Laboratory?
Would you like me to answer that?
Yes, Sir Jonathan, please. I'll be more than happy to answer that. So, Sir Edgar, and to the rest of our viewers, we will be actually collaborating with Digital Pilipinas and FinTech Philippines to create programs for the startups that are into these verticals. We will be calling an open call for startups to be incubated in the Mapua TBI, and we will be helping also these startups to write their proposals to access the funding of DOST Startup Fund. Would you like to add anything more, Sir Jonathan?
Oh yes, I'd like to say that this year the very first year of operation of the TBI, we would like to firm up our organization, and the fact that we can now hold something like this is proof that we are succeeding in this along this line. A second one is we're also going to offer new services, for spin-offs and startups, but I think the lowest lying fruits are in the area where we would offer information dissemination in the form of, let's say, hackathons and ideation sessions between potential founders and or researchers and industry, where we hope to interface them and provide a venue where problems that can be solved by research and brought to market by spin-off can be identified together with an industry partner. And of course, the other one is recruiting our mentors to put people behind the services. These are the things that I can remember right now, that we are going to concentrate in the first half of this year. We have more activities than this, but no, sorry, my memory is just not that good. But I think I mentioned the ones that we are most immediately and most urgently concerned with in the TBI team. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dean Salvacion, for that answer. And of course, to continue with our e-commerce and digitization of supply chain, may I direct this question to Mr. Cons Roberts. What should educators teach to ensure students gain the knowledge and skill set to manage today's supply chain challenges? Mr. Cons?
Yeah, thanks for the question. And again, thanks for bringing us all together here. I think we have seen an interesting development in supply chain over the last couple of years, but especially over the last year, where something that we had taken for granted to just work, and which was somehow relegated to a small segment of specialists, has suddenly reached, I think, first about a year ago, the boardroom or the C-level discussions in most companies, when after the pandemic, suddenly the supply chain links became quite fragile, and we've seen delays and all of that, and I think we are sort of lucky in the Philippines that this has been managed fairly well, and that our ports have been keeping up fairly well, and also that maybe we have that proximity to China and other producing markets, that this has become a bit easier. But I think the port congestion that we had suffered from in Manila some years ago has now reached the US and Britain, and on steroids, where suddenly supermarkets are empty, and it looks like in some kind of crisis scenario. So I think this is when it sort of first reached a bit the common dinner table conversations and memes and all of that. And I think now we've reached a second stage of that evolution, where supply chain has been one of the key drivers of inflation that we're now seeing across the world reach levels that we hadn't seen in at least a decade before. And a lot of it happens because suddenly it just costs 10 times more to ship a container from A to B, right? A big part of what has driven costs down and what has driven supply of many goods up and made them very easy is that it just became cheaper and cheaper to ship things around the world, and suddenly that trend has reversed. So I think as such, what does that mean for education, right? I think one kind of a general knowledge of how supply chains work is probably something that we should consider as part of a general education, to just make it part of common knowledge. The second one is that I think the need for supply chain professionals and the logistics industry overall is becoming more. It's definitely one of the sort of recession-proof professions. And I think in terms of graduates and creating employable graduates, specializations and sub-specializations in supply chain and logistics will help to make graduates employable skills. And I think that goes from sort of bachelor onwards to then also specialized master programs. So just making that part of curriculums in engineering and business courses. The third aspect, I think, and that particularly relates to our topic today, of also APIs and e-commerce and so on. I think we've seen the logistics industry move from what was seen as a somewhat archaic industry, where the biggest sort of disruptor had been the invention of the standardized container some decades ago, to now an industry that is rapidly digitalizing, where APIs especially are starting to play a big role, because it's all about real-time data exchange to replace manual encoding of data, to ensure traceability, and to generally improve the digitalization of supply chains. So I think that's something that we're seeing happen rapidly, where increasingly software engineering and supply chain are getting more closely connected. And then, of course, lastly, in e-commerce, we're seeing a sort of shift in what matters in supply chain, more small parcels being delivered to end consumers. Yeah, as part of that, I think e-commerce in general, with everything that it aligns to, is worth including in curriculum, given that it improves not just corporate employability of graduates, but also gives them the chance to pursue potentially entrepreneurial ventures.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cons. Truly, even our exporters here in the Philippines were also caught off guarded because of the challenges in the supply chain globally. Our exporters cannot get spaces already for the containers, and the main shifters and the logistics company are already fully loaded from China, and no more spaces for our exporters. And even the farm to table initiatives were also highly disrupted because of the challenges that we had faced in supply chain. Thank you very much, Sir Quans. And in relation to that, for infrastructure and connectivity, may I request Ms. Yoli Crisostomo of Globe, how do we better connect the students and teachers using online resources, given that connectivity, internet connection, and basic technologies infrastructure are lacking, particularly in urban areas, as we teach all of these contents coming from the different speakers? Ma'am Yoli?
I think Ms. Yoli had to step out and actually just send a response to that. I think we can move on, Jace. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving forward, to move this conversation, may I request Mr. Todd of Brancas, can you explain the need to educate students continually and young adults about financial literacy and financial services industry and the products within it?
Yeah, that's a very big question. But I think what's most important in the financial services industry here in the Philippines is to understand exactly what is changing. And I think from the customer's point of view, we're shifting from a model where you, the customer, access bank products through bank channels, which is corporate speak for really, if the experience of accessing a bank means going to a bank branch or downloading a bank app or interacting with a bank relationship manager. And that's how you access financial services, is basically through products and channels and applications and people that are directly linked to the bank. What's happening now through the technology of open APIs and open finance that the BSP is promulgating here, you're allowing for the financial services and the financial products to be separated from the channels that the bank owns. And that's actually a good thing. It's a good thing for the banks. It's a good thing for customers because it allows new product development. So now, instead of signing up for a loan or a new credit card or a home mortgage or even making a payment, you don't necessarily need to go to a branch or download and access and use the bank's app. You can actually do that at the point where you want to access that financial product. So that could be at the car dealership where you're applying for the loan. That could be on the checkout page of the e-commerce site. It could be for an alternative lender because you want to compare different loan rates for a payday loan, but you want to share your bank account transaction history as a way of credit scoring. So I think the main thing that Mapua students and others can think about when it comes to development of the financial services industry is that there's an unbundling taking place here in the Philippines. Not just, of course, there's plenty of digital banking and digital and fintech taking place, but I think even more fundamental, there's an unbundling which allows for new products, new innovative products, but it also allows for a better customer experience because you can access financial products where and how you want to and have a little bit more competitiveness, frankly speaking, between some of the large incumbents and some of the scrappier, smaller banks that are looking to offer different ways to reach customers. So I think that's a lot to look forward to.
Thank you very much, Sir Todd, for that answer. Truly, if we could only use these technologies already that being used by the banks, good experience with RCBC of like, how can we use that for the dealership? How can we use that for other services? And definitely that would be an amazing, especially if we could extend those technologies also to the rural banks in the provinces, to give it to the unbanked. Then that would create more opportunities in the provinces and make the economy more vibrant, especially during the pandemic. Thank you very much, Sir Todd. And of course, connected to that, educating our students with whether it's API or whether there's some education on fintech. May I call on Mr. Gino San Pedro of education technology? What is the biggest challenge in the education technology space faced by educators and students? Sir? There's no audio, Sir Gino.
Hi, can you hear me? Is it clear now? Okay. When it comes to education,
clear.
Okay, thank you. There are a lot of challenges. For one, connectivity. The Philippines ranks 90 out of 138 countries when it comes to internet connection. The average speed in the Philippines is 18.21 Mbps, and by Philippine standards, this is actually quite fast. But when you go to other countries, it's very slow. Another problem we have in technology education is access to infrastructure. We have families wherein they only have one laptop. It's quite sad and it's a huge problem, especially since students would need to wait for their parents to finish working before they can actually study. And if they're part of a big family, they would need to wait for their siblings as well, or they may even rush their education just to maximize the use of the laptop. Another would be access to tools needed. So we have software in which we study, and sometimes it requires a premium. And not all students have access to paid software to participate in class, and this will hinder their education. And next is the lack of training and adapting to change. The country was actually caught by surprise when it comes to COVID. We had to quickly shift to online learning, and not everyone is prepared for this. We have teachers who are still struggling to use a computer, what more for tools like Zoom and even learning management systems. And we're trying to address this at Philippine Coding Camp, and we're working to equip schools as well as teachers by upskilling them with the skills needed for this. We aim to introduce tools and up-to-date programs. Further, we are also trying to promote the use of low-cost devices in order to promote online education. And for a country like us to progress, we really need to embrace technology and to adapt to this as we move to the new normal.
Thank you very much, Sir Gino. And I think Mapua University is also doing and implementing such suggestions for their online students, especially everyone right now is online. Thank you very much again, Sir Gino. From our media partners, in connection to the said certification. Maybe Doc John can answer this. How will the Mapua Graduate School develop the micro-certification courses within the Digital Pilipinas Academy? Will there be a local certification from Roderick Abad of Business Mirror? Maybe Doc Jonathan and Miss Amor can answer this together.
Yeah, thank you. The plan is for the graduate school and the continuing education department of Mapua to develop these small courses, which can be initially offered as training, training materials in the form of trainings and training sessions for the public at large. And another part of the plan is for these small courses to be certified and the certification be recognized by the graduate school so that people can put together a number of such certificates for crediting when they enroll into the graduate program. So let's say I have a seminar on topic X, and this topic, there are about 4 seminars about this topic. They can receive 4 certificates on this topic and put together this. This can be part of a, let's say, 3-unit credit for a particular graduate program, and that's where we come in. That's the long term. Sorry, that's a short term plan. Of course, the long term plan is to develop actual academic programs that involve the content that is out of these programs. I think Ms. Amor has a much better explanation of this.
Ms. Amor?
Dr.
Any
John?
additional? Thank you.
Yes, Dr. John and Jace, we really are grateful that Mapua has agreed to partner with Digital Pilipinas Academy. So this is a two-way street. Our partner in the region is the platform of the MAS called Oxygen. So admittedly, many of our courses are in Web 3.0 and also in financial services. So it's all about show me the money, right? I'm just gonna go Jerry Maguire on you. Because unless the money is moving, people are not going to pay attention. The second part to it is to unpack the commitment, right? Many of those in the workforce or students might not have the intent to take on long-term courses, and therefore the second objective is to really unpack it into bite-sized pieces. Also, it'll be asynchronous. In other words, you can learn on demand. Fourth, it's going to be driven by market leaders. Who you are currently hearing from today, can you imagine? These are genuine master classes from people who are not just teaching, but also practicing and pushing the envelope. I mean, many of the people here are, founders, founding fathers, also the particular verticals, from open finance to APIs to e-commerce. And then last but not the least, the important part there is the micro certification. So once we decide on what classes to elevate to Oxygen, working, of course, with a group of advisors and also with Mapua, those will be available not just for Filipino students, but to everywhere in the world. And people can pay for the micro certification. And these are supremely reasonable. No, it's not even the cost of a Wagyu burger, seriously. And what that does is you create, right? You create your credentials. You put it in the blockchain and you can post it wherever you need to, whether on your LinkedIn, on your Facebook, on your social media. They're yours to keep for life, right? So there's a testing and also a certification component. So there, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Amor, for that answer. In addition, there's another question from our media partner for Ms. Amor, from Johnny Spadilla. Is knowledge of AI and AI programming language an advantage for newbies? Miss Amor?
Actually, I think the question that you guys are asking is if having advanced knowledge of certain nascent technologies would help. I think what I'd like to be able to say is how in this decentralized world, right, the barriers to learning are not as formidable as they used to be. So whether it's in terms of time commitment or even prior learning, when we took the Web 3.0 certification courses last November, we literally just listened in on the talk, and afterwards we could immediately take on the certification. So we're really debunking a lot of preconceived notions related to education so that they could be more accessible to as many people as possible, taking down barriers to access. Sir Jace, I think we still have a mentor who hasn't spoken yet.
Yes, actually, with all of these suggestions from our industry partners and questions from our media partners, I'd like to get the feedback of Sir Marco Santos. Sir Marco, what are our next plans, no, to address this request and suggestions and all of these adjustments that our industry, academe, and government partners are asking?
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being patient and listening waiting for my response now. First of all, I think there's a lot of things that an innovation ecosystem require, and a big part of it essentially would be the talent pool, so the people who are willing to fail and to make mistakes and to risk their ideas, right? And aside from that, I think you also need the government to help the Philippines be a place for intellectual property commercialization, because I think for Mapua, for instance, we're more than 100 years old, I think, or close to 100 years old, but we only have, I think, 1 or 2 patents, if I'm not mistaken, right? And so that shows you how that much of the R&D done in schools are almost none, right? So it's important that we actually start developing new ideas, trying to test them, and then whether they fail or not, it's okay. Then and more importantly, what's really more important for me is that failure is actually a good thing. It's actually it's something that we all require for us to become successful. I've had a lot of startups in my life, and I failed in a lot also, but those failures actually enabled me to be successful in some of them, right? So, but in Asia, I think that's something that people are very scared about, failure. But in Silicon Valley, it's a badge of honor, right? So that's one thing, right? So aside from that, I think the government has to make sure that our IP rights are protected. That's why all the inventions here in the Philippines are brought to Singapore or somewhere else where other countries can protect it, right? The Filipinos is indeed very inventive. We have all these smart ideas, from the moon buggy, from the fluorescent lamps, but it's the yo-yo, but it's commercialized by the Americans, for example, right? So that's another thing. And thirdly, I think we have to start building our talent. We have to start not just building engineers, but actually building founders. No? I mean, founders, people who actually they're not hired, but they actually start their own businesses, right? So that's what I want to say. First of all, this is actually a dream come true that Mapua and Digital Filipinas and DOST are working together. I think Dr. Vea knows this, but I've tried to do this for, I think, maybe 5 years ago. Maybe I was too early, but at least now we have an office with Jace there and everything else. So thank you very much, and I hope my answer helped. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir Marco. Sir Marco, since you are here and with Doc Jonathan, our media partners are asking what kind of innovations daw and technology projects should we be focusing on to incubate in the TBI? Any
Maybe I should
technology
start
purpose?
answering that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You should start and end it.
I'm sorry, sir, but
No, it's okay.
you can cut in any time. My personal thinking is that engineering in the Philippines should also support agriculture, because basically we have a lot of agriculture, and when I say agriculture, that includes fisheries, not just planting rice and so on. And I think that we should learn from the Japanese. What I learned from the Japanese was that their agriculture is helped very much by their technology. And um, there are some instances in our partnership with our engineering research and development for technology group, where we were able to demonstrate this. We partner with the Central Luzon State University and UP Los Baños to develop some sensor-based technologies. And we were quite successful in the sense that we were even able to get some foreign funding for our projects. And because of that, my own personal thinking is that maybe we should develop technologies for agriculture. But now, it's been mentioned here several times that one thing that we in academia are in disadvantage of is this: we don't see what's happening, what's changing around us.
Yeah.
And I realized that our mentors just showed us examples of this. And so we can, I just realized that it's just not agriculture, but other parts of, for example, the business and supply chain. There are things happening there that we in engineering probably do not see very well, but thanks to you, we now see more clearly. I think these are areas where that we can also look into. I think
Thank you very
that's all I
much,
can say.
Jonathan. Ayan. And Sir Marco?
Yeah, well, just to dovetail on that, I think one of the goals of Digital Philippines Academy, from my conversations with Amor, and that's why I decided to join, was that we would actually make sure that most of the professors or the mentors will actually be industry practitioners. I think that's like just following what Dr. Salvacion just said. There's a lot of that industry practice that actually is not the teachers today in school. They pretty much take for granted their own industry experience. So more often than not, what they teach the students are very academic and not theoretical, not the real world. No? And so hopefully with working with Digital Pilipinas and their partners, we can actually find a new venue for industry practitioners who can actually teach them what really happens in the workplace. Therefore, giving the student like a chance to actually say, I want to be like him, who's actually the teacher who's worked in the industry workplace. But more importantly, the industry practitioner will know what the market needs because they experience it themselves. And so hopefully we can create more, real world engineers and who can actually solve this world's problems. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sir Marco and Sir Jonathan. To add to that, with our partners with the Department of Science and Technology, the Department of Science and Technology is also funding and assisting private companies working with the academe to solve their challenges. So that's also an additional support from the government. And of course, working with the academe, industry, and government collaboration together, we can solve these challenges, these challenging times. Thank you very much to all of our panel members and to our supporters. To close this event, may I call on Sir Jonathan, Dr. Jonathan Salvacion, the Dean of the Graduate School.
Oh, that's very fast. I was thinking there were more time for discussion, but anyway, I guess this is the time that we roll out the credits and the thanks. I would like first of all to thank our sponsors in this year, who, without whose support, the TBI would not have come into existence, and therefore this event would not have also be needed to happen. And of course, we have our partners in Digital Pilipinas, most notably Amor and Sir Marco. And of course, the team led by Katz and all other teams behind the scenes. My memory fails me that I cannot mention them anymore. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And of course, I do not want to neglect the Mapua community, especially the Office of the President. No, they were very much involved in this, although you cannot see them. Corpcom, our corporate communication group, which with whom we have to work in a lot of the things that we used in this in the presentations and in this event. Of course, the Mapua TBI team, who actually directed most of the effort in getting this event in motion. And finally, the Academic Council, as shown in the videos, whose support will be very, very much needed in the coming years, the coming months and years of the existence of the TBI. And with that, I guess I have nothing more to say except that hopefully we will be working with you in the near future to really make our TBI a success. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's next, weirdo?
Thank
Mapuans build great things. The first 16-bit microchip and Windows graphics accelerator built by a Mapuan, Dato Banatao. Windows turned into environment-friendly solar panels, a leading local business enterprise built by Alfonso Supetran, a system that studies earthquakes, a nano-satellite that gathers data from outer space, and award-winning Filipino films watched around the world. What if we told you you could build any of these things? Or all of them? Let's get to building. Be a Mapuan and build something great.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to all our speakers and panelists and mentors. Great job, everyone. And we look forward to what this tripartite partnership will bring. Thank you. Have a good day.